Honorable Speaker of this evening, Sri Mukesh Trivedi, my colleagues and friends. I have great pleasure to welcome you all to this study circle meeting organized by the HRD Committee of Bombay Chartered Accountants Society. Friends, today's subject is very unique, very dear to all of us. It is called Internal Audit. Welcome, KK. Friends, we all are very well acquainted with this title, Internal Audit. We all are doing internal audit for our clients, whether it is corporates, non-corporates, NGOs. Sometimes we do internal audit of revenues, sometimes of expenditure, investment, production process, so many things, so many aspects of businesses, we are conducting internal audit. But friends, while we are doing internal audit for others, whether we ever tried to do internal audit of ourselves. It is very much necessary to do our own internal audit. Which are the areas require internal audit? How it has to be conducted? With what frequency it has to be conducted? All of these aspects will come to know through this session from Mukesh Bhai. Mukesh Bhai, as you are all are aware, is convener of our HRD committee. But apart from convener, apart from a chartered accountant, he is possessing so many other qualifications. So he has done so many other, he has studied so many other aspects of the life. Let us know little more about Mukesh ji from our another convener, Anandji Kothari. May I request Anandji to please take charge of the session.
Thank you, Govindji, for setting the tone for the today's meeting. I take the pleasure to introduce my co-convener, Sri Mukesh Trivedi, who is a fellow chartered accountant, and he is a long-term association with BCS. At BCS, he was a member of the managing committee for more than 10 years, and he was also an office bearer as a joint secretary and treasurer earlier. He was also convener and member of accounting and auditing committee, and he has organized various residential study courses on IFRS and Ind AS. At HRD committee, he has been passionately organizing leadership camp for more than 15 years. Many of you who are present here would have benefited from these camps. He has been actively engaged in conducting programs for students, their orientation, the motivational programs and trainings and workshops. He has also conducted long duration programs at the Wellinger Institute of Management on internal audit studies, and also regularly organized monthly study circle meetings. He has led discussions as a group leader in various RRC on subjects of tax. He has been contributing to the yearly referencer and in books on FAQs on accounting standards published by BCS, Namaskar column in the BCS journal. At ICI, he is also active, and he was a speaker at various WIRC seminars on topics of direct tax, internal audit, peer review, tax audit, and tax compliances. He was a joint convener of the Vile Palace CP Study Circle. Apart from this technical background, he is also actively engaged with, as Govindji said, on various other subjects, non-technical subjects. He completed certificate course on Bhagavad Gita, Advanced and Foundation Vedant conducted by Chinmaya International Foundation, which was spread over a period of 4 years. At present, he is studying various Upanishads. He has taken a batch of classes for the students to teach on Foundation Vedant course of Chinmaya International Foundation. He has special liking and passions on the subjects of Vedanta and teachings of Bhagavad Gita. He likes reading, music, yoga. and photography as well. He helps a lot of cancer patients and people who are emotionally challenged as well. So let us hear from Mukesh Bhai on today's topic, our internal audit. Over to you, Mukesh Bhai.
Welcome, Mukesh Bhai.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll just share with you this one, what called one of the this one PPT. One moment. And will you just help me at the right time? How come? Just share it, and then I start it. Just a moment. Huh? Yeah. Is it viewable?
Yes, yes,
And the voice is also appropriate for the communication?
yes.
Okay. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Reva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. My prostrations at the feet of the Lord and His Shakti, whom we all call Mataji. This is the beautiful festival of Navratri, where each day is the different manifestation of Mataji, and she's blessing us. May we all have the wonderful blessings of Mataji for the safety, good health, and prosperity at the personal level and at the national level. Respected President in absentia, who just wished me, my dear Chairman Goenji, my very dear Krishnaji, another beautiful person, and my learned friend and my very dear friend and colleague Anand, Meena Ben in absentia, the conveners, Gracie, Ryan, and Mahendra Bhai, and many, many dear friends. It's a great opportunity for me to be with you and just sharing with you a few of the thoughts that I have learned over the period. And it is going to be a fine sort of understanding again that we all know audit and chartered accountant are a sort of complementing each other. We know that we can it is our domain expertise. We can very well talk about audit, but we will be traveling today to something more than that. So that reminds me of one beautiful definition given about the auditor. Myself and our dear friend and the present Vice President Mihir, we all used to attend the classes of CISA. At that point in time, in the first introductory lecture, our faculty, CISA stands for Certified Information System Auditor. So he wanted to, first of all, explain us certified information systems and then the auditor. And at that time he said that who is the auditor? And he said, no malice, no offense to any of my professional colleagues. But what he said is that an auditor is the one who comes after the war and shoots the wounded. That means after everything is over, he comes and whoever are the accountant or whoever are remaining, they are getting wounded. That is the kind of perception which is going on. Not only that, NAFRA and disciplinary actions and all are causing a lot of pressure on us also. I will still say that code of conduct and code of ethics that we have, if we have our own internal audit, if we are walking the talk, if we have the right kind of values at our life, I'm sure that code of conduct need not be there. We will be in a position to conduct ourselves, our profession far more better, and we'll be again having that glorious time what we used to have over the years. That also reminds me to express my sincere gratitude to my very dear friend Amar Shukla, who has been also part of my studies over the years. During the initial period when I started the presentation, I talked with him and he was also quite thrilled. And we had discussed quite a few things. And he has also helped me. My sincere gratitude to Amar. Thank you so much. I also miss one of my very dear friend, Tushar Doctor. For the purpose of thought mailer, he always used to ask me persistently, please give me some article, please give me one article. And at that time only, I had few thoughts about it. But till that time, I was introspecting myself. That till the time I'm walking that particular talk, I do not want to preach anything. So when I wanted to start this particular presentation or even the thought mailer, whenever I'll be contributing or namaskar, I love to have it only if I have walked that particular talk. With these friends, we would also now move forward. And what will be the sort of presentation, etc. I remember that in the last study circle, our learned friend, Mr. Mehta, had discussed about the law of karma from the Jainism perspective with a very high technical aspects. That apart. And it has its own relevance and quite strong relevance. And I fully appreciate what he shared with us. Now, as we all know that the flavor of the day is internal audit, even at our BCA. BCA just now had a first inaugural and unveiling session on risk assessment. BCA is also conducting 101 series of 22nd and 23rd October for the internal audit program. Institute of Chartered of India is also having an interesting program on the internal audit. So in this case, what kind of audits we have? We have statutory audits. We have special purpose audits. Even among the statutory audits, we have the law for the company law, for the direct taxes, indirect taxes, even erstwhile it was for the VAT, etc. Special purposes also, there are the audits. We have certain certifications also for the specific purposes and all. So all these are there, but we are going to talk something different. We will be trying to understand what is the meaning of the internal audit from the perspective of the actual financial audits or operational audits, etc. And then we'll move forward. We will also see what are the essential components that we have to have in the internal audit. But when it comes to our own internal audit, how it goes, why our own internal audit is the question. That is from where really the crux starts, or the presentation discusses the core points. And we'll be also trying to reflect over certain questions, what kind of pursuits that we have, what are the principles, what are the values, and what kind of practices that we should put in practice when we are thinking of our life as the internal self introspection or internal audit. And that is the introspection. What is introspection? There are two aspects, that is a meditation and introspection. We'll try to touch upon it, but introspection will go a little more deliberately. And how to live the values in daily life. In my presentations, there are at two stages, there are certain things which will be your homework. I would expect you people to also go through them, which are, and these slides will be totally shared with you all. So rest assured that I would be happy that you all absorb whatever you can. And the most important point is that even the one point out of the entire presentation, if it touches you in your life, and if you are in a position to adopt in your day-to-day life, I'll feel happy and my purpose will be fulfilled. As you know, the International Institute of Auditors has said, what is internal audit? Internal audit is an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve an organization's operations. So this is about how the organization can improve their operations, which includes all the operations, that is sales, purchase, then various marketing, advertising, budget, capital budget, quite a few things on which it has to have an independent objective assurance. Objective, most important is that it has to be objective, and it has to be also the assurance that after having done accordingly or implied or implemented, we will have really a very good position out of it. So Types of audit, I already discussed with you that there are statutory audits, internal audits, performance audits, operational audits, financial audits, compliance audits, controls, productivity, efficiency, resource allocations, HR related, employee satisfactions. There are number of items, plethora of items in which a setup can be had. Capital budgeting can be there. Whether acquisition or whether acquiring an asset is better or a sort of leasing is better. Such kind of so many internal audit can be evaluated. It can also have the financial aspects. It can have the production aspects, efficiency aspects, productivity aspects, compliance aspects, statutory compliances, etc. So all can be covered under the internal audit. This is about what we know popularly as our domain discipline. The first and the foremost thing in any kind of internal audit is objective and the purpose. What is the purpose of doing a specific audit? What are the processes that we are going to do it, and what are the processes we are going to examine, etc. The second part is about the scope. What is the scope of these particular audit? What the scope means, what is the period to be included, what are the items to be included, what are to be excluded, what it will cover, what it will not cover. Within that particular parameters, we try to look at it. Based on that, various tests that we have been, substantive tests, and the other tests, observations, mapping, process mapping, we come to certain findings. And based on the findings, we give the remedial measures or the recommendations. This is the sort of generally the broad element of the internal audit. Based on the same thing, what? Whether it is for the market, there are certain law, statutes, etc. There are certain statements and standards to which we all belong, the institute. They have also specified certain. Similarly, International Institute of Internal Auditors are also there, which is also having certain standards, etc. So based on that, we try to conduct. The reporting is also in a specific format, etc. But these are all part of the things. We have certain guidance notes, rules, regulations, various instructions, etc. And above all, what kind of best practices that we are trying to conduct this particular internal audit. These are all about the basic introduction of the generally known internal audit. Now we will come to our own internal audit. Before we go, I would request each one to be little agile. I'm going to pose a question, and if you can respond, fine. It is not instant response, but you need to reflect in your isolation at the right time. But at the moment, if you feel to give your answers, moderator can just look at them and help me to know them. Okay. Let us see that. Now the questions. Okay. As a human being, how are we distinct from the other creatures? And what is so unique about us? Can anyone tell me, please? You can put it in your chat box. Yes, we can think. Okay. Okay. Power of discrimination. Fantastic. Any other? Any other? Both the answers are absolutely on the dot, and that speaks the volume about our HR power to adapt and otherwise. We can take judicious decisions, we can take judicial condition, power to adapt, etc. So very correctly, that the unique thing that we are all given is the thinking power. All the other creatures, including the plants, reptiles, animals, any creatures, they don't have the developed sort of thinking power or discretionary powers, whereas we are given that particular power. So the most important gift of the Lord to all of us as a human being is that we are given the thinking power, and that particular thought is a very important, and how we can generate our discrimination, which is called vivek. What is a vivek? Vivek is atma, anatma vivek, right and wrong vivek, sort of moral and immoral vivek. All these things are possible in our case because all the other creatures have only three things to do. They are having three activities only: sleep, eat, and procreate. Except that, nothing is there. And our Gurudev has very beautifully said, he says, man without culture is a vulture. So if we do not use our thinking power, if we do not judiciously do our thinking power, we are also just like the animals. There is no difference between us, except we are man animals and we have to be man, and from there, man God.
Shailesh would like to say something.
Yeah, Shailesh.
Promote him, Bilal.
Who can unmute him?
No, Bilal, promote him to talk. Bilal, are you there? Anand, you can promote him.
Yeah, I'll do so.
Shailesh Naram.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he can
Shailesh.
speak.
Yeah, it's fine. Actually, I raised my hand thinking that we have to speak in terms of responding to your question, but then you give it in chat, so I wrote it in chat.
Yes, Shailesh, how I can, the moment I remember you, I remember so many wonderful residential camps, including the one when we both were having the role play of the elder brother and the younger brother, or the stroll on the Chinmaya Vibhuti. Beautiful.
Yes,
So
I
wonderful
also
time.
do.
Thank you.
I also
Yes,
do.
yes,
I'll never
yes.
forget that all my life, sir.
Sir, fine. Thank you. Yeah. So this is the first part. Now comes the second part. I don't know why yeah. Who am I? This is the second question. Who am I? I'm Mukesh Trivedi. I'm member of the BCA. I'm a chartered accountant. I'm husband of XYZ. I'm son of so-and-so. I'm daughter of so-and-so. I'm brother of so-and-so. I'm father of so-and-so. Are these what I am? These are all the sort of additional attachments. When we remove our own self, who am I? This is the second question. Somebody's, I think, speaker is disturbing me. Yeah. Okay. So, who am I is a second question on which kindly reflect over in your special moments and properly think it over. Am I this body, this mind and intellect? Because I have the discretion between which distinguish me from the other creatures, is that I am that particular one because of that I'm an intelligent person or an intellectual person or the sort of mind and all. What am I? And what is this BMI? That is, what is this body, mind, and intellect? That also we should try to think it about. What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? What is the purpose for which I'm born? When I've come in this particular world, is there a specific purpose? Do you have any answers to this, friends? I'll be happy to have it. And no need, you have all the right to be wrong. Yeah. There are so many people who are on the dot, and I'm happy that there are many like-minded people who are also, say, Neha Salot says a soul. Vijay Mehta says soul. Anand Kothari says level of consciousness. Shailesh Rai says, I'm a soul having a human experience. Fantastic. So these are all evolved people, evolved souls, and I'm glad that they are also part of my reference point. Lovely. Yeah. So these are the basic questions which are necessary for us to always keep on having it. What are my different roles and responsibilities? What am I made for? I'm the student. I'm the teacher. I'm the speaker. I'm the listener. I'm the office colleague. I'm the son. I'm the father. I'm the brother. I'm a sibling. I'm part of the community. And each particular role and responsibility has its own values and its relevance. And with my core values, I'm supposed to connect with them. Yes. What are the core purushartha? What are the core purushartha? What we do and why we do. We'll see it at the right time. What are the gunas? And are these gunas important? To just briefly tell you, we are having our deep cravings, or what we call the vasanas. Vasanas does not mean just the carnal cravings or indulgence. Vasanas can be of the physical, mental, emotional, all the levels, or even the intellectual level. Not only that, these particular vasanas may be pure also, that, for example, to contribute for the higher purpose of the life, etc., or to serve the people. This can be the vasanas. And at the same time, to enjoy the life, to indulge in the various types of physical and various activities, etc. And this kind of thing also are possible. These three various types of vasanas, and these are the impressions over the life, so many lives. And these vasanas are bifurcated into the three major part, that is called the sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva are the pure, and it evolves, it makes you more study, or it it gives you a right kind of discretionary power, it gives you to think of a nobler thoughts, it gives you the reason to think of a higher purpose of the life. The rajas, we all because we are all chartered accountants, because we are in a conduct of professions, and intellectually also we are gifted, we are all having the rajasic also. Rajasic tattva is always with the activity, it has a more of a sort of achievements, recognition, to covet for something, have something, possess something, demonstrate something, activity full of indulgence, etc. And the tamas, tamas is indolence, laziness, deceitfulness, sort of sleep, and absolutely darker in this sort of attitude. So these are the three gunas just I have touched upon. I'll be going on a bit faster because few of the things where I would like to dwell a little more. What are the law of karma? Law of karma, Vijay Bhai has so beautifully explained, and he has gone quite sort of at length in the technical way, and it is already there. And it is a sort of ubiquitous, I would call it, or a unfailing law of karma, and irrespective of the faith in which you are, whether you are in the faith of Hinduism, Jainism, Christianity, Buddhism, any faith, it is very much there in a different connotations, but that particular principle is universal and it is there. What are my dependencies? What are my attachments? What are my dependencies? Means at the physical level, what I need, food, uh, pleasure, other things. Similarly, attachments, relations, or certain possessions, reputation, holding certain positions. I want to become XYZ, president of XYZ institution. I want to become the sort of so and so. People should know me, etc. These are all the attachments. What is the freedom? What is bondage? And why it is bondage? Freedom is when we are free from the attachments, when we are free from the dependencies, it is a freedom. And the bondage is when we are having the dependencies and attachment. And why it comes? Because we feel that the body, my mind and intellect are the truth. No other things are there, and whatever I'm enjoying, whatever I'm indulging in is the life. There is no life before, there is no life after. Let me have this sort of indulgences. This is the situation under which it creates a bondage, and life and death, life and death, life and death. And not only that, it is not necessarily that we are going to get the human life only or human birth only. Depending on the quality of the karma that we are trying to work on it, accordingly our life is going to come in the next birth, etc. There may be certain controversies about it, there may be so many questions, people may believe, people may not believe, but let us accept one thing, that the saints and the realized masters, thousands of years over, they have inscribed, they have documented, and they have done it. And that is why whatever they have tried to put it is to improve our standard of life. Improve the standard of life means to live on the values, to live the values in such a way that we are gradually knowing our true self. When we are knowing our true self, we are in a position to gradually detach from the lower values of the life and attach to the higher values of the life. On the other side, when we are trying to still indulge in the day-to-day activities, whether it is food, whether it is recognitions, activities, pursuits, then power, wealth, it does not mean that one should not have it. One should not have it. It is not at all denied that in our scriptures or in our shastra, it is never ever said that do not have it. But moderation is required, on which we will come to the slide at the right time. What is the standard of life or the standard of living? The objective science, or what we call it, a sort of scientists are improving our quality of life. Convenience. For example, today in the COVID situation, we are in a position to meet each other because of the scientific inventions, because of the software, because of the hardware, and so many things, that we are in a position to be in our own home and still we are in a connections. That is the standard of living. Earlier, people were in the stone age to the bullock cart age, or bullock cart age to the industrial age, and now today the digital age. These are all the improvements and inventions in the objective science, and in the objective science, all the contributions are made for the standard of living. They have improved our standard of living. But despite of standard of living, people are not always very happy. There is something for which they are always missing. Even the indulgences are not giving them. It may keep on recurring. They may again go for the further accentuation of the indulging into it. Notwithstanding, they are not in a position to really satisfy themselves, or they are not in a position to feel the happiness about it. Whereas the Shastra, the saints, the realized masters say that what is that gives us the standard of life, improvement of standard of life. Improvement of standard of life means right kind of values, the right kind of evolution, because of which ultimately, who am I? That answer comes to us naturally at the right place and right time, and how we can gradually detach from the lower tendencies and attach ourselves to the higher positions. There are so many questions which we can try to. These are just the illustrative questions only to build up the tempo. Let us come to this particular thing. This is a slide. Can anyone help me to know what is this, or what does it signify? You can put it in the chat also. Yeah. No answer so far. Our senses, okay. Any other things? Yeah. 5, one shows Indriya. Next one, state of mind. 5 senses, Samir saying yes. Fine. First, yeah. Functions of the brain. Yeah. Fine. Okay. Let us try to understand briefly, but at the same time, very clearly. We have totally 5 senses of perception and 5 senses of actions. But at the moment, I have put only the picture of 5 senses of perceptions, through which we are in a position to get the connect with the outer world. All the outer world, whether it is human being or the experience or anything, the first contact point is our senses. Those particular senses transmits its signals and conveys it to the mind. Mind has the right kind of repulses and the kind of feelings or emotions built up around it. And based on the built up of the emotions, it transmits it to the brain. And the brain, not actually the brain, but intellect. Actually speaking, this is the intellect. And the intellect in turn ultimately gives a decision whether you should do, whether you should not do, etc. Let us take an example of coffee. Somebody likes a coffee. Aroma of the coffee is there. Nose really captures it. Nose creates that kind of association. It sends the signals to the mind. Mind feels the emotions of having a coffee. And that in turn goes to the thought. And in the thought, it gives a decision, okay, have it, or at the moment, don't have it because you are in the lecture. Don't take it, like that. Same experience for the food, touch, human being, carnal pleasure, indulgences, anything. So this is the gateway, but ultimately the experience happens at the mind level, and its decisions or the actions or inactions are taken at the thought level. Let us try to understand it. Sorry. Yeah. So the first part is the body. Second part is the mind. Actually, this particular one is giving the functions of various things which are happening at the intellect level. Say, for example, intellect remembers, intellect comprehends or understands. It knows how to apply certain thing. It is a very logical and excellent way to think and analyze. It evaluates, it creates, and it also gives us the decision making or the instructions to take the actions or not to take the actions. So here I have given the say that body is a peon, mind is a flow of thoughts or a clerk, and the intellect is an officer or a riverbank. We'll see in the next slide. But before that, peon, clerk, and riverbank, I'd like to explain you. In any office, suppose that there is a peon. He receives the mails or he receives the sort of communication. He gives it to the clerk. Clerk disseminates it and appropriately gives it to the officer in charge in the cabin. In the cabin, he takes a decision. Based on that, he sends back it to the clerk, and in turn, the peon ultimately takes the actions. Same way, our senses are just the peons. The experience is not happening at the level of the senses. Experience is happening at the level of the mind and the intellect. It is just the gateway. It is just the interactions. It is just the entry point. So that is the body. We had gone for what is it BMI. On that, I'm trying to come back. Same way, now let us go to the second part. What is this, friends? Left picture, right picture. Hello. Yeah, that is a good question. Chaos and calm, flow of thoughts. Superb, Sri Lakshmi ji. Congratulations. Rough surging water and calm water. Right, right. So picture is very correctly perceived by most of you. And I'm very glad that very receptive audience it is. And they have also traveled a lot in their spiritual journey. So the gushing water, the flow of the river, when it is absolutely uncontrolled, the flow, same way we have every day so many thoughts in our mind. Say that as many as about 60,000 thoughts can come in our mind. Every moment we have the thoughts. Thoughts, they are overflowing, flowing. It needs to be controlled and the banks are required. So the other picture is a bank, and that particular bank makes it control, its flow gets appropriate so that the soil around it becomes fertile, the things and the ambience and the setup becomes far more better. Otherwise, this becomes destructive. So the mind has the emotions and the emotions and the flow of thoughts, which can be really, really difficult to control unless the intellect is in a position to control it. And you will always find the person with a composure, the person with far more universal oneness, person with a kindness, etc. The one who is at the quietude of the and the tranquility of his mind is always having his intellect applied appropriately. Stephen Covey has beautifully said that between the stimulant and the response, there is a space which we should use judiciously, and that particular space is intellect. But why we have the emotions and why the emotionalism comes so much. I'm not getting this. I'm not given this. I am longing to. In the COVID, a lot of people started feeling depression. People started feeling frustrated. People feeling boredom and all. On the other side, many people use this for the purpose of the inward journey, introspections and reflections over it, and a lot of things they try to evolve over. So the point is that we have to use far more intellect, which is again the unique gift of the Lord to all of us, which is not in any creatures. But we are overpowered, we are overwhelmed by the emotions, and that does not allow us to think rightly. So what is the right kind of thinking that we have to do? So it is the flow of river, it is the emotions, it is the mind. So this is how the mind works. Whereas the intellect is something like this, which absolutely properly controls the flow and at the same time gives the right kind of judiciousness. When it doesn't happen, when there is an ego, our own my self pride, I am a respectable person, my family, my people, I have to earn for them, I have to work for them, they are dependent on me, if I will not do, who will do? These are all the signs of ego, and there are so many manifestations of the ego, and that ego doesn't allow us to use our intellect properly, and always it reverts back to the flow of thoughts like a gushing river. Then comes what is our true inner calling. As we all are knowing that we are chartered accountant. Recently, so many GST audits have gone away. Even tax audits are on the verge of going. Even the SME segments of the audits may go away. So at that time, a lot of people are passing through that kind of insecurity, unhappiness, or a sort of very difficult time. At that time, it is a right time to reflect over it. What is our inner calling? How many of us are steering a wheel that is not attached to a true calling? Are we driving the wheel which is aligned with us? Maybe, for example, in my case, I may be a chartered accountant, but I still feel that I can be something better than chartered accountant. Somebody else may feel that I could be a better singer. Somebody could feel that I could be a better trainer or a coach. Somebody feels that I could have been a better writer or a creative person or a sports person or anything. So what is my inner calling? And even in the Mahabharata, in the Bhagavad Gita, from the first chapter to the 18th chapter, the biggest transformation that we find in Arjuna is that in the first chapter, he had forgotten what is his wadharma and what is his inner calling. He was a Kshatriya and he had to fight for the specific righteous objective, but he had forgotten. He was absolutely deluded and he lost the game. Ultimately, Lord Krishna actually listened to him and made him aware of what he is, and based on that, he went to the Swadharma. Complacency, corruption, suicide are all the results of lack of clarity in the intellect. So when we are not very clear what is exactly our real inner calling, this causes the biggest problem, and we will be either complacent, we will not be really putting our best shots. Think of so many people and how they have really succeeded. Let us take from the sports, say Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli, or for that matter, Mary Kom. And so many people have succeeded. In the same way, certain writers, certain poets, Rabindranath Tagore, Vivekananda was what after all? Ultimately, he had gone to test his guru, and ultimately he became the champion of our Hindu culture the world over. He gave the philosophy of it. Our own Gurudev, he was an atheist. He did not believe in anything. He was a sort of journalist and he wanted to expose the sadhus and saints. Ultimately, he turned out to be the champion and he propagated the principles of Bhagavad Gita and the Vedant and the Hindu culture the world over for 43 years. So when one gets the inner calling, when one gets his real identity, he gets the correct purpose of the life. So for that, what we require is a clear thinking. Clear thinking can come if we have the right kind of intellect. And that kind of intellect are two. One intellect is called the Sukshma Buddhi and the other is called the Tikshna Buddhi. Or to say the sharp like a sword and the sharp like a laser. Sharp like a sword is used for the business and for the purpose of the objective science. And the Sukshma Buddhi is used for our own inner transformation, our own inward journey, and knowing our true self. So here the clear is in a bold. What is that clear? So the first thing is that we should have a very clarity of the thinking. Number two, we should love what we do, and at the same time, we should be an excellent teamwork. We should have excellent teamwork. Next is act in the present. The greatest difficulty is that we have a lot of pressures because of which we are in the thought process, and those thought process, why they are coming, we'll discuss. But because of which we are not in the correct concentration of the present, and that impacts us in our performance and the result acceptance despite of hard work. Suppose that even after such a hard work, the reward may not be up to the expectation that you have. Whatever comes, we must be graceful enough and humble enough. With the humility, we should accept whatever is the result. That is a result acceptation. So clear is clarity, love, excellence, act in presence, and the result acceptance. So clarity is a power to discriminate between the right and wrong, good and bad, pleasant and unpleasant, shreyas and prayas. Now, shreyas and prayas is what? Shreyas were the larger good we are thinking of. So many people that we are trying to look at and their welfare, higher goal, noble value, etc. On the other side, prayas is what? Personal joy, selfishness, indulgence. Say, I want to reduce 2 kilo or 5 kilo of my weight. I have put the alarm of 5 o'clock. When the alarm clock rings, I switch it off, I snooze it and go to sleep. That is prayers. On the other side, I invariably, even if it is difficult initially, I try to again go for it and I try to ensure that I have got up. That is the shreyas. Same way, I don't think of just myself or my family or my dependent or my staff. I think of the society. I think of the people, etc. I think of the larger mankind. All the jivatma, everyone when we think of, it is the shreyas. When we think of universal oneness, it is shreyas. So we should have the clarity of the moral clarity. We should have the role and responsibility clarity and goal clarity. Let us look at it. What is right and wrong? So how do we decide what is right and wrong? Those which are the universal values, and if we follow, they will be always right. Now, what is universal value? Universal values are respect the others, do not steal somebody's wealth or anything, do not covet for something which is not your own or rightful things, etc. So these are so many universal laws. If we try to follow, then we are in a position to do it. Similarly, when the motives in any, it is said even in the criminal law, the crime is not in the action, but in the intentions. Same way, good motives. Whenever there are good motives, then the decision will be, thinking will be right. Stages and the roles in the life. I have to always keep on performing so many roles. So in each role, what is my duty? As a son, it is my duty to support my parents and ensure that I serve them. As a father, I have to protect my children. As a citizen, I have to be on the right side of the law. I have to pay the taxes properly. I have to not evade anything. I should not be a part of the party to the tax evasion. Temperament. Temperament, if it is rajasic, then it will be aggressive, more and more sort of selfish, indulgent. On the other side, if it is more and more sort of quiet or more and more at peace, then it will be, you will be in a position to take the right decision. So whenever you have to take the decision, if at all you are disturbed, do not take the decision. Take the decisions, giving yourself enough of the space and ensure that you are absolutely objective and clear, then only take the decision. Sacrifice versus compromise. Our Gurudev has beautifully said that when we try to covet for the lower tendencies at the cost at the cost of the higher. It is a compromise. And when we give up for the higher cause, the lower tendencies like food, rest, sleep, hard work, doing, we do, or rather laziness, it is a sacrifice. And sacrifice is a must. And whenever there is a sacrifice, it is a right decision. But we should not be conscious that I have made a sacrifice. I'm not going to claim that I have made a sacrifice. If we are trying to show to the world that I have made a sacrifice, it is a Rajasic element and not a pure Sattvic element. The mind remains peaceful and integrated. Whenever we are at peace, the mind remains peaceful and integrated, and it gives us a immense happiness. Maximum good of the people. Whenever we think of the largest group of the people to be benefited, it will give us the right kind of decision making, and our thinking will be in the right way. Role clarity. Write down the different roles in your life presently. You may write down at the right time, but see to it that please write down your roles. What are they and what it requires? Prioritize them, whether it is at a family, home, office, society, personal, all the roles we will have to prioritize in the appropriate way and put down the right kind of work. Are we clearly doing what is our duty in the roles? We should be introspecting on it. Are we doing the correct duties for that? For example, as a student or as a friend, as a professional versus a person of the family, as an auditor versus counsel, it has been, this is the one area around which we have been always confusing. We on our own become the counsel of our client while auditing. We should try to avoid that. Clarity of the role has to be very clear. Similarly, profession versus business. When I'm doing the conduct of the profession, I cannot be a sort of businessman. There is a thin line of difference between business and profession, and we are all conscious, and we should not try to indulge in any kind of activity which ultimately leads us from the compromise in the profession and goes to the business level. Balancing our roles in our very important life. So irrespective of anything, we have to have the balance of our balancing between various roles. Now, can you identify these various people, friends? Quick. Yeah. Nobody could.
Chopra, Hima Das.
Sorry, yeah, Hima Das, correct.
Neeraj Chopra.
Very good.
And our president, but rest I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Krishna ji, पहली है अरुणिमा सिन्हा. She had both the legs broken by the robbers, and yes, she has scaled the Himalaya. Again, gold clarity. Neeraj Chopra, gold medal on javelin throw. Constant sort of clarity of the goal, like sort of eye of the bird for Arjuna. Hima Das struggling all the way in the rice paddy fields and ultimately on the winning of the Olympics. Abdul Kalam, from the humble beginning to whatnot. Can you tell me who are these two? I'm afraid why nobody knows these two small children. This girl is Nandini Agarwal. She's a topper of this year's institute's exam. And her brother, Sachin, who stood 17th in the rank. Right?
Sir, Vijay Bhatt sir has replied on the chat. Both brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations, Vijay Bhai. Yes. I'm honored you are here. Thank you. Very good, very good. Congratulations. Very good. Okay. So, goal clarity.
From Murena. They are from Murena.
Yes. And Morena is a very notorious area. Let us understand.
Yeah.
Chambal and flesh trade.
Yes. Yeah.
Goal clarity. What is my goal in the life and why do I need a goal? So these are the people who are the inspiring, and so many people are there who have always a goal clarity, and because of which they have given us a lot of things. First is goals manifest our dormant potential. It gives us the potentials very well fructified. Two is goals give us direction and the purpose. We are not going to stray if we are very clear about the goal, our discipline, our regular perseverance. We cannot falter. Goals are important to bring us together as a team, irrespective of anything, whether at the office level, whether at the family level, at society level, or as a citizen level, wherever. If the goal is clear, it will give us the right kind of team membership. So it is beautifully said that love what you do and do what you love. So here is a Swadharma. What we talked about, Arjun's Swadharma, he had been deluded and ultimately he was given the position. In Swadharma, we work from the happiness and not for happiness. So the most important point is that whenever we are with our own Swadharma, whatever we are doing, we will be always happy. And that way we try to do it and discharge our things. Whereas work is going to fill a large part of the life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what one believes is a great work. So the most important point is that at the inner calling level, we should have something which is nobler, higher. For example, Krishna ji is connected with so many philanthropic activities. For example, our Mayur Bhai has been doing another phenomenal job. Shailesh is great in doing so many things. Vijay Bhai is also doing. Vijay Bhai Mehta as well as Vijay Bhai Bhatt, all are doing fantastic work in their own field and they are trying to reach out to the larger goal, nobler goal, etc. So point is that, and that is definitely their inner calling, and they are doing it out of happiness. And whenever, and we are in a position to spread the happiness. And the only way to do the great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking for it and don't settle. As with, one moment, I'm missing the word here. Yeah. As with the most matters of the heart, you will know when you have found it. So the point is that this is the one area around which we have to churn a lot. Even if we are qualified as chartered accountant, even if we are having a roaring practice, even if we have sort of fantastic recognition among the society and people in the family, etc. Despite of that, we should constantly churn about it. Now, Swadharma pointers are given in the 12 pointers are given. I'll not be going through it because it's a beautiful reading and I'm sure you will get the guidance out of it. So it is there, but one or two I'll just flag out. Okay. If you could do whatever you wanted to do, what would you choose to do with your life? That is the first answer that we should give. Second is, what are the things that fill you with a joy and a sense of purpose? Whenever you are doing something, what gives you the joy and the sense of purpose? Similarly, when do you like yourself the most? What activities that you have done have made you like yourself the most? So these are 12 pointers which are given out of this particular slides. Please reflect over, share with your family members and inspire each one to find their own Swadharma. I am not going further for the reasons that it is going to be a very interesting homework for you. Okay, what is this, my friends? Can you tell me, please? Yes. Okay, I'll not wait more. These are the leakages, friends. Why the leakages? These are the typical leakages. First is the guilt and the memory of the past. We constantly brood over the past. We are having the fear of unknown, and that is anxiety. And in the present, we have the excitement and distractions of the focus. Even during the time that this presentation is going on, somebody must have already started looking at his WhatsApp as to what are the latest positions. Somebody must be eager to know what is the IPL is match going on or not going on or something. Point is, distractions are there and these are the leakages. And these leakages always hurt the most. Why do we do what we do? Tell me, why do we do what we do? It is, I'm going a little fast for the simple reason that time is a constraint and I would like to do the justice to the time allotted to me. One is a sukh prapti, or what we call it, the have the joy. And the other is atyantik dukh nivrutti. When we want to avoid, we would always like to avoid the pain, or we would like to have the pleasure. These are the only two prime movers because of which we are doing what we are doing. Whatever activities or food or rest or whatever is there. Sukh prapti and dukh nivrutti are the main basic human instinct, which are the factors. Now, core purushartha, which in the initial stage I had mentioned about, what are the core purushartha? I'm straight away going dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma is the essence. Now, for example, that the birds, dharma is to fly, the flowers, dharma is to have the sort of fragrance or the color, and the honey. The water has the dharma of being the essential property, etc. At the same time, it is also the religion, but not just the rituals. The philosophy behind it is the dharma. Artha is achieving the wealth or prosperity or achieving the success in the life. Kama is the desires and the expectations, and moksha is the knowing our true self. So why we are born? I'm giving you the reply here, that we have to know our true self, and our true self is our Atman, or our self is a soul. That is the main reason. But just see, we are always focused around Artha and Kama. And even while doing the Artha and Kama, we are compromising with our Dharma, and because of which we are shrouded with the ignorance, with the bondages and attachments, because of which we are unable to know who am I in the true self. So there are 4 Mahavakya from 4 Veda. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharveda, and Samveda. So from that, these are the beautiful, and what does it mean? Pragnanam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. These are the 4 beautiful, strong sentences. Only on this, if we reflect, ultimately, we try to gradually weed out lot of lower tendencies, lot of attachments, lot of things. And at the same time, with the universal oneness, we can try to be in our true self, and we know who am I. Now, this is the second part. Now, this part is that the core principles on which our all the spirituality, or what you call the right conduct of the life, is covered, is a brahmacharya, ahimsa, and satyam, on which on 9th of June 2020 I had taken a lecture of our study circle, when I say that Bapu and what were the core principles on which he was cherishing he has totally 11 principles on which he lived his life. But these are the 3 core principles which are universal principles: brahmacharya, ahimsa, and satyam. Now, brahmacharya does not mean abstinence from the carnal or even indulgence of any kind, but it is a moderation. For the food, moderation; drink, moderation; sleep, moderation; viewing certain things, moderation; activities, moderation, etc. So that moderation is what our scriptures are prescribing, and it is at a body level, because ultimately we are indulging into the outer world with the body. At the body level, we should observe the brahmacharya, and we should become conscious with our intellect that what I should have, what I should not have, how much I should have, what is the moderation, what is not moderation. We should be very clear about. Ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-injury. Jainism is totally on the ahimsa. And in that, the most important point is that only that it is at the emotional level. At the emotions, sometimes we try to hurt somebody. Even in our thoughts, we try to abuse somebody. We try to speak ill about it, etc. These are all the signs of the himsa. And so mind purifying will be the most important. And satyam, whenever we have the conviction, strong conviction that no, this is right and this is wrong, and living on that particular conviction is at the intellect level, because that conviction comes at the intellect level. And whenever we have satyam, so these 3, if we have adopted in our life, our conduct in all the world, all the roles and responsibilities, all the goal clarity, etc., everywhere it will be very much balanced. Now, how we can try to purify ourselves? For the body level, the brahmacharya is there, and karma yoga, because the karma yoga is in a position to help us to become selfless, and ultimately we are offering everything at the altar of the Lord. So karma yoga is something which will be helping, and it will, the biggest advantage is that we will be dropping our ego. Why do we prostrate at the feet of the Lord or at the feet of the Guru? Because the crown of our ego is here. When we touch his feet, we are trying to drop our ego. So karma yoga is something which helps us to improve and also helps us to correct ourselves on the brahmacharya. When we are, another thing is that we have to purify our thoughts. The gush of thoughts, we have to first reduce. The reduction of the thought happens with the karma yoga. The purification of the thought happens with the bhakti yoga. More and more faith in the Lord, presence of the Lord. Lord may be any. He may be Jesus Christ, he may be Muhammad Paigambar, he may be Ashur Zarathustra or Shiva or Krishna or Mataji or whoever. Any, wherever is the faith, or even Tirthankars. Our faith and whatever is there, more and more we should dedicate to that. Last part is about the Satyam, and that is Gnana Yoga. More and more we understand what is Satya and what is Asatya. Satya is the Atman, body, mind, intellect is Asatya. The moment, till that time when we have not understood that, till the time I feel that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, I am the ego, then it is a bondage. Now, this is just a sort of bird's eye view that how we are in a position to work on it and what are the gunas and all. It is very clear, and what I have already spoken about. But only one or two points that I would like to speak about is that Shravanam. See, every day we should read something, or we should try to read something which is inspiring, which is purifying. Similarly, we should reflect over it. And the last is Nididhyasan or Atma Avalokan, or meditation and introspection. I would like to devote some time on the introspection at the right time. We are at the introspection. Now, what is introspection? Friends, in a day-to-day life, we are conducting ourselves with so many activities. So what we are supposed to do? Meditation, one can guided meditation can happen. But as far as introspection is concerned, it has to be done by our own self. Nobody can guide us. And that is why the two wonderful things that we should have a practice of is meditation and introspection. Meditation, don't do on your own. Learn under the right kind of guidance. Wherever you require our help, we are available. Don't worry. But point is that it should be done under the guided positions. So far as the introspection is concerned, it should be done at a peaceful time and when you are fresh enough. Our Gurudev says that early morning you do the meditation, and before going to sleep, you go to introspect. But Swamiji says that time when you are fresh is good enough to do it, the introspection. Now, what is that? How to practice? The first thing is that we have to sit quietly in a clean place, absolutely quietly, and take a deep breath, observe our breath, deep breathing, and be very comfortable. Once you are comfortable, just see the film of the day and all the activities which has gone through in the whole day. Having gone through that particular activity, ensure that don't try to attach yourself, do not try to criticize it, do not try to sort of evaluate it or attach any kind of commitment, whether it is good action, bad action. Say, for example, in the morning I got up, I wanted a cup of tea first. Immediately after that, I just fought with, or rather, I scolded my wife for not keeping my clothes properly. When I went to the office, in the train, I had a sort of argument with somebody, or I had a courtesy, I had a smile with him. He was a nice person. I got down, I got the lift, etc. I went, I prepared whatever as per the agenda. I was to do the work, but I could not focus on the work and etc. Whatever is for the whole day, just we have observed. After observing, without giving any kind of credence of any emotions or any kind of evaluations or qualities, we have to then start identifying it. What was my intentions? What was my motive behind it? Was I pure in it, or some kind of hidden agenda was there? That particular agenda was with a sort of selfish motive or selfless motive. Whatever are there, we should try to gradually again look at it. So identifying it and detecting. This is the detection. If something nice has happened, appreciate and feel good that it has happened good. At the same time, whatever is something which you would like to improve, which is not the one what is your true self, then try to check it. And along with that, after having identifying and detecting, also negate. If I had become angry, I want to negate it. How can I negate it? Number one, in the introspection itself, express your sincere apology. At the first instance, whenever possible, express your apology to the person. If not possible, see to it that your contact becomes better. And substitute, after negating, you have to substitute it what? Visualize that your abundance is nice and the relations have become better and you are in a cordial and warm relations. That was not your intention to be harsh or anything, or that was not the intention to be selfish. Gurudev has beautifully given a very fantastic suggestion. He says that sometimes it may happen in your office that somebody comes for the help. Fatherless child with a mother comes. And for his education, he needs a help. We have to check it when we give him the help or charity. In your introspection, you have to see that was it my really honest compassion on the child or an attempt to impress that widow. This much objectivity we are supposed to build up while introspection. Same way, whether it is profession, whether it is work, how we are talking, how we are conducting, how we are presenting ourselves, what kind of replies that we are giving. Are we grateful or not? Can we become better and more and more respectful, etc.? All these things can be further fructified and ensure that we have properly introspected. This is one of the magic in the world, and I can tell you these are all the things I am sharing after having practiced. And I feel myself at much more tranquility and peace whenever, indeed, about 5 years back, I used to lose my cool very fast. Today, there is a larger space to lose the cool. There may be, still I have to improve. Point is, it is a constant churning and bicycle paddling, but it must be happening. Recently, when my batch got all the exams, they completed my batch weights, I mean, the class which I was taking, the students were to be given the convocation and the valedictory speech by our Swamiji. Swamiji guided them beautifully. Swamiji said that you all are young people and T20 is a flavor of the life, or IPL and T20 is the thing. So I'll give you the T20. What is that? One is that devote 20 minutes for the physical exercise, at least daily. Another is study the scriptures. And 3, meditate as well as introspect. So these are the 3 activities which will help you to improve with the quality of your life, quality of the mind, and be better. Now, these are 51 tips of daily living, which I'm trying to leave it at your discretion to do it. I have about 3-4 minutes to share. So few of the flagging that I'm trying to share with you, and then I'll conclude myself. Okay. Read the portion of the Shastra every day with a commentary, at least 15 minutes. To God, be grateful for what you have, but don't crave for what you don't have. Have a higher goal and a nobler ideal in life and be serious about it. Constantly strive to raise a standard of life. Now you are distinguishing between standard of life and standard of living. Standard of living is objective improvements or the material improvement, and standard of life is inward journey and transformation, inner transformation, purity of self, better quality of the thoughts. When you enjoy, be alert. When you suffer, know that the best is yet to come. Remember that the best things in the life are not too pleasant at the beginning. Drop the past, act rightly in the present, and look ahead. Be moderate in sense enjoyment. Practice ahimsa at the mental level towards one and all. Be firm and never compromise. Focus on samasti or the larger good and not on vyasti, that is personal good. Understand that personal biggest problem is nothing compared to the universal problem. We should not try to complain about our own problem. We can see that there are so many things which needs far more attention. Try to operate with the visions of the Lord in all things and beings around you. One or two now I'm taking. Act based on your spiritual knowledge. Do not forcibly deny, this is very important. Do not forcibly deny pleasure to the self. Be gentle. Back up every act of self-control with a thorough understanding and clear conviction. Act with a sense of service towards the nation. So such total 51 items are there. Have a look at them, and I'm sure that you all will have a fantastic reading. It will also give you a good introspection, and I'm sure this will be the true internal audit for all of us. More and more we practice, it is going to be a great. So with this, friends, here are the two images you can see. One is the introspection and the other is a meditation. And both are what after all? They are being with the nature, in sync with the nature, in alignment with the nature, with the highest prostrations at the feet of the Lord, Shastras, our Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, and all our Swamis and Swamins, and the entire Guru Parampara. Resources, all learning at Chinmaya Mission. So many books, so many study material, so many things that while I conducted the classes that I learned, etc. In a very small capsule, I try to share with you so that we become better professional, and in the conduct of our life, we have a holistic well-being. This is just a small capsule. We can have a large and much deeper interactions on it with the organizers, right kind of initiative. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mukesh bhai. Oh. Thank you.
I trust it was done within the time.
Yes, sir. Certainly.
Fine.
Sir, there's one question from Vijay Mehta sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's asking if experience happens in mind at mind level, then what is the quality of soul?
Right. See, there is a beautiful thing that between the body, mind, and intellect and the soul, there is a huge vasana. And vasana does not allow us to know our true self. And it always creates a lot of pressure. And there is one principle called the pervasiveness. For example, the managing director has a power over all the employees of the company. He is pervasive. Same way, vasanas are pervasive and they are not allowing a human being till the time he has a dehatma bhav or the body minded intellect consciousness. Till that time it doesn't allow the soul. So that is why we have to use our sukshma buddhi to know that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, but I am something pure atma. All these things are to be weeded out. Yes.
Any other
Sir,
question?
there's one more question from Mr. Praveen Shinde sir.
Yes, Praveen bhai.
He is asking, can swabhav or inherent traits can be changed with training?
Yes, it can be. And that is what I'm trying to share with my own experience. At least 7 years back, I was short-tempered. I was far more conscious about perfection and imperfections, etc. Sometimes my tongue was far more sharper. Nowadays, I'm in a position to find joy with myself. And whenever the joy is within, automatically it spreads like a fragrance everywhere. It can be. It can be with the right kind of mentoring, right kind of quality. What's most important is that we should have the right knowledge through the right guide. And these are all our entire scriptures are not to be done self-study. Never ever study on your own, never read on your own. Try to understand under the guidance. 2, every person gets the right quality of the guru based on his own thirst of the knowledge. Yes.
So there's one more question from Shri Lakshmi ji. She's asking how to control thoughts.
Oh, never control thoughts. Allow it to flow. Anything cannot, because the moment you are controlling, it bounces back with the huge force. It is something like an ocean or the water. Suppose that if you have obstructed with the sort of stone, ultimately at some point of time it forces. So that is why the beautiful thing that is being given is that reduce the thought, improve the quality of thought, and channelize those thoughts in the direction of the highest. So never control, except at the moment I have as many thoughts and I'm restless. Except gradually with the right kind of positions, we are in a position to evolve. And it is a daily journey. It's a regular journey. Yeah.
So there's one more question from Praveen ji. He's asking, can there be nirgun sadhana without any idol worship?
I tell you one thing, that we are human being and we are connected with our body, mind and intellect. Ultimately, Nirgun Nirakar is a final journey, but we need the support. Secondly, just I am telling you that just formless, think of the soul. Suppose what is that formless? You cannot visualize in this world, because the senses and the mind has the tendency to go out. Whereas when we have gradually, first of all, denied all these to be not myself, automatically we are in a position. Think of the realized masters. They have seen the Raman Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Tapovan Maharaj, and Arvinda Ghosh, Maharshi Arvind. So many people, realized masters, have gone ultimately to see that particular Nirgun Nirakar Swarup only, which is no Swarup. See, we must understand that it is formless, colorless, it has no size, shape, anything. So, and we are unable to go to Nirgun. Nirgun means what? Which has no any properties. Gun is property. So those properties are not there, because of which they are not in a position to do it. But you will like to have it that way. So go for the right kind of guidance, go with the right kind of things around. Now, one gentleman has asked for, can you suggest some books? Yes, I can suggest few things. But again, I'm telling you that whatever is the thing that I have learned, or my friend Amar has learned, or many others, even Vijay Bhai, having the right kind of eagerness and earnestness of the learning, you will get the right kind of literature. But two books of Chinmaya Mission publications are beautiful books. One is Self Unfoldment, and the other one is Kindle Life. To begin, they are beautiful books, Kindle Life and Self Unfoldment, which talks about so many various nuances, etc., and that may at least start evoking the interest, etc. There is another beautiful book on logic of spirituality. Okay, sir. Any other?
So to continue with the Nirguna Swabhav question, Vijay Mehta sir is asking, if soul is Nirgun, then who has the quality of knowledge?
Who has the quality of the knowledge? Ultimately, the time when you are realizing yourself to be the knowledge or the soul, you are no more yourself. At one, see, when you have started negating one after the other properties of the world, etc., at certain point, ultimately, there are, in the last stages, there are quite a few sort of our tendencies which will hold us back. But once we have got the self-knowledge, at that time, you will not remain to be yourself. Mukesh Trivedi will not be there. He will not be there. Only the knowledge will be there.
So last question from Mr. Girish Kakhar. He's asking how to deal with negative people spreading lies and tarnishing images and professional reputation.
Good question from the perspective. I can very well understand that he is really a disturbed person. One is that if we are strong in our convictions of our truthfulness or conduct or sincerity and diligence, I can assure you there is a divine power which automatically protects you and weeds out all the things from there. Second thing, we have certain values and the qualities in our life based on which we have certain rules and etc. The trouble starts when we expect others to follow those rules. So these rules are meant for me. I have to be, let them be, because they are on their own journey. They are going to have their own karma follow. They are going to have their own thing. Let me be whatever possible. Let me try to purify myself. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Over to you, KKZ.
Namaskar. Namaskar, Mukesh bhai. Namaskar to all my participant friends. Mukesh bhai, what a treat you gave to us, all of us. सर हजारों हजारों साल का जो शाश्वत ज्ञान है, जो परपिचुअल ट्रूथ है, वो इतनी ब्यूटीफुली आपने जस्ट आई थिंक 75 मिनट्स में हमें जस्ट उसका एक छोटा सा टेस्ट कराने की कोशिश. वी आर सो ग्रेटफुल टू यू. हंड्रेड्स ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स, एक एक कॉन्सेप्ट को समझने के लिए 1 दिन 2 दिन 4 दिन की साधना चाहिए. वो हंड्रेड्स ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड साधना आपने जो लगभग 1 साल का कम से कम कोर्स हो, वो इतनी ब्यूटीफुली, इतनी पावरफुली आपने हम सभी को समझाने की कोशिश की, जिसको जो हम अपनी लाइफ में इम्बाइब कर सके और उसके पीछे, उस साधना के पीछे आगे बढ़ सके. उसके अंदर कोई भी एक चीज को पकड़ के, विशेष रूप से जो स्वधर्मा, गुणा, लीकेजेस, 4 महावाक्य, इंट्रोस्पेक्शन, T20 शॉर्टकट वाले, एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, टिप्स ऑफ राइट लिविंग. ओ माय गॉड, सो ग्रेटफुल टू यू. हम सब लोगों को आपने मालामाल किया. हम सबको आपने एक ऐसा आईना दिखाया जिसमें हम हमारी तस्वीर अच्छे से देख सकें और उस अपने अंदर के आईने को साफ कर सके, स्वच्छ कर सके और अपने जीवन को महका सके. और हु एम आई वाला जो एक क्वेश्चन है, सबसे बड़ा महावाक्य, उस क्वेश्चन को जानने समझने के लायक बन सके और उसका आंसर ढूंढ सके, उसके लिए आपके हृदय से आभारी हैं सर. तो बीसीएस की तरफ से एंड सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स की तरफ से हम हृदय की कृतज्ञता से आपको धन्यवाद देते हैं और आपको वापस जल्दी बुला के जल्दी दोबारा और सुनने की कोशिश करें. Thank you so much.
Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much.
So my only humble prayer is that one is that 12 questions for the Swadharma and 51 pointers for the day-to-day practice. If they try to reflect, I'm sure some answers will start coming in their life very beautifully. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and special thanks to my dear friend Gracie who invited me. Actually her wish was कि भाई गांधी जी के ऊपर कुछ बोलूं. मैंने बोला इस बार मुझे गांधी जी से अलग बोलना है, क्योंकि हुबनाथ जी ने बेहतरीन तरीके से हमें समझाया था, तो इस बार कुछ ऐसी बात करनी थी जो धीरे धीरे, and till the time I can walk over it, I cannot speak about it. That is what I learned in the entire progress. Thank you so much.
मुकेश जी, really thank you very much. ये इंटरनल ऑडिट जो है आपका, ये तो सर कंटिन्यूअस बेसिस पे चलाना पड़ेगा,
बाइसिकल पेडलिंग.
ये जो सत्संग है, ये साप्ताहिक सत्संग में बदली करना पड़ेगा आपने.
Done. I'm ready. I can take the Foundation Vedant course.
जैसे बुक रीडिंग का क्लब का हम लोग सोच रहे हैं कि हर महीने चलाएंगे उसको, तो ये जो आपका सत्संग है, ये हर महीने, हर 15 दिन में या हर वीक कोई एक दिन फिक्स कर दिया जाए, उस दिन ये 1 घंटे का 1.5 घंटे का सत्संग किया जाए, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि हमारे सभी जितने भी हमारे मेंबर्स हैं, सभी मेंबर्स को एक बहुत ही आत्म शांति की प्राप्ति होगी. और ये भौतिक उन्नति तो कर ही रहे हैं, ये आध्यात्मिक उन्नति का उनको अवसर मिल सकेगा थोड़ा सा. तो अगर हो सके तो इस पे विचार कीजिएगा आप जरा.
जरूर सर. देयर इज अ ब्यूटीफुल फाउंडेशन वेदांत कोर्स व्हिच इज कंडक्टेड बाय चिन्मय इंटरनेशनल फाउंडेशन. With the registration, I can take the regular classes also. Only thing is that if people are like-minded and interested. Second thing, unfortunately, I'm sorry to put it on the record, there are certain past presidents and the chairpersons of the HR committee. They are feeling that sometimes we are talking about the religion, and this is not about the religion. This is about finding our true self.
No. Here, whatever you talked just now, there was nothing of the religion.
Absolutely, human religion, manav dharma.
ह्यूमैनिटी इज द
धर्म तो-
ग्रेटेस्ट रिलीजन एंड स्वयं के सुधार से बड़ा कोई धर्म नहीं हो सकता। स्वधर्मा वहीं से शुरू होता है।
सही
आपने
है,
कोई भी चीज रिलीजन की बात नहीं की है,
सही है।
जो भी आपने की है सेल्फ इंप्रूवमेंट की है, एंड जो परपिचुअल ट्रूथ एंड परपिचुअल नॉलेज की बात की है। आई एम सॉरी गोविंद जी, मैंने बीच में बोलना शुरू किया, प्लीज।
नहीं, अभी 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 आप देखो, प्रवीण शिंदे ने भी क्या लिखा है चैट बॉक्स में, वी आर ओपन टू लर्निंग फ्रॉम ऑल सोर्सेस। सोर्स कोई भी रहने दो, हाँ, वो धर्म का आने दो, किसका भी आने दो। सवाल क्या है कि उसका पर्पस क्या है, ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है उसका।
सही है।
अगर ऑब्जेक्टिव मानव धर्म का है, मानव की उन्नति का है, आध्यात्मिक विकास का है, तो हमको लेना ही है, किसी भी धर्म से आने दो, उसमें क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है।
थैंक यू।
ग्रेसी क्या बोलना चाहेगी ग्रेसी?
एक बिफोर ग्रेसी मैम
Thank you.
मैं एक रिक्वेस्ट
Audit,
करना
thank-
चाहूंगा मुकेश भाई से कि मुकेश भाई पूरा प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं तो जो ये टिप्स ऑफ राइट लिविंग या जो एक दो चीजें जो अटल सत्य वाली चीजें हैं जो हम रोज अपने आप को पूछ सके, वो सवाल अपने आप से क्वेश्चन आंसर खुद से कर सकें, वो आप जरूर शेयर कीजिएगा आपसे। एक नंबर
पूरा का पूरा प्रेजेंटेशन मैं तुरंत ही दे देता हूं, जिसकी वजह से लेट द पीपल हैव द बेनिफिट ऑफ कंप्लीट, उसमें से जो भी पसंद आए कर ले, और इसके बावजूद भी दे कैन पर्सनली आल्सो सेंड मी द पॉइंट एंड आई विल ट्राई टू हेल्प देम आउट इन द हैंड होल्डिंग।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
माय ड्यूटी सर, इट्स अ प्लेजर, क्योंकि मेरे इर्द गिर्द भी जो लोग बैठे हैं आज की तारीख में भी, उनकी तो प्रेरणा है कि जिसकी वजह से यहाँ तक जो कुछ भी सीखने का मौका मिला, या तो छोटी सी एक क्या कहते हैं, जो छोटा सा पानी में पैर हल्का सा रखने की या तो गीला करने की कोशिश चालू है, वही तो है।
बहुत बढ़िया सर, बहुत खूब।
Yes, Gracie was saying something.
यस मैम।
No, since Govind Goyal asked, I said thank you, Mukesh ji, for giving a wonderful learning to us. And thanks to all the participants. And since all the participants are very happy with the learning, each one should suggest some at least another 5 more, so that we will get good attendance.
Great.
See, point
And,
is that number doesn't count, quality counts.
Today also,
It's always a pleasure that more and more get the benefit.
I agree with you.
We are
Today
9,000
also-
members.
Gracie, attendance was good, and the best part of attendance was that each and everyone was there from the beginning till end.
Yes.
And
yes.
they participated. They participated. If you see the chat box,
Yes.
they participated very well.
जी सर।
So we
Agree.
want, if there are even 25 participants, 50 participants, doesn't matter. The participation has to be there. Interaction has to be there.
Absolutely.
If interaction is there, then we as a coordinator, as an organizer satisfied, and more than that, the speaker who comes there, he is not coming to gain anything. He is there to share his knowledge. He is much more satisfied that he has shared his knowledge with those who really wanted that knowledge. So that is more important.
बस मैंने गोविंद जी कहा ना कि एक वाक्य भी अगर किसी को अपने जहन के अंदर बैठ गया तो पर्पस सर्व हो जाता है हमारे लिए।
Yes.
बहुत खूब।
Chalo, okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And our next meeting is on 8th and 9th November. There are 2 consecutive meetings of 2 hours each on Vedic maths.
Vedic math. Good.
8th and 9th November evening, 2 hours each.
Immediately
please-
after Diwali. Immediately after Diwali.
Yes, yes, immediately after Diwali.
Chalo, thank
So,
you.
beginning of a new Samvat year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
All of you. Thank you.